Bizarre stories from the subscribers. I was sitting in my chair, focused on the math test. The silence in the room was so heavy that I could hear the sound of my own breathing. Suddenly, I felt a tap on my shoulder. A light touch, almost imperceptible, but enough to make me shudder. "Jonas, help me out, man." The voice was low, almost a whisper. "Jonas, help me out, man." But I recognized it right away. It was Lucas, the guy who always sat behind me. But something was wrong. Lucas wasn't in our class anymore. He had disappeared a few weeks ago and nobody knew where he was. And now he showed up on the math test. The teacher had said that he had transferred from the school. "Lucas, what the hell are you doing here?" My heart started racing. My hands began to shake. "I need the answer to question 3, Jonas. Please help me." His voice was different. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I couldn't turn around. If the teacher saw me talking, I'd be screwed. Besides, I wasn't going to risk getting caught cheating. I wasn't doing very well that term and I had to pass. "I can't, Lucas. Sorry." "Jonas, please, man. I need to pass. I don't want to stay here forever." That sentence gave me chills. What did he mean by staying here forever? Before I could think it over, the bell rang, signaling the end of the test. I breathed a sigh of relief and started gathering my things. "Jonas, don't leave me here, man." Lucas's voice sounded way too desperate, man, but still low, as if only I could hear it. My heart raced and I finally turned around. Lucas's chair was empty. No one was sitting there, man. I looked around, but none of my classmates seemed to have noticed anything different there. The teacher was collecting the tests and the other students were talking to each other, completely oblivious. I left the classroom as quickly as I could without looking back. In the hallway, I took a deep breath. I needed some fresh air, man. Trying to convince myself that what I saw was just my imagination, right? What if I'm going crazy? Maybe the stress from the test made me hear things. The next day, I decided to ask about Lucas. I got to the classroom and approached a group of classmates. "Hey, does anyone know about Lucas? He's been missing for a while, right?" They looked at each other, right? Kind of confused and said, "Lucas, who's Lucas?" One asked about someone missing for 2 weeks. They laughed, saying he was behind them taking the test. "Jonas, there was no one sitting behind you, man. The last test only had a few people there, right? Because it was the makeup test, man. Dude, I started to get confused. What was happening to me? So Lucas had never been there asking me for answers. Even today, when I walk past the classroom, I feel that chill on the back of my neck and hear a distant whisper. "Jonas, help me out here, man. I can't stay here forever." Could it be that Jonas is going crazy and this Lucas guy doesn't even exist? Or maybe this young guy was actually someone who studied at that school many decades ago and it took him so long to finish his test that he ended up dying? And now he's looking for answers from other students to finish his test and get out of the classroom, go back to his home and his family. Hello, my name is Mateus Goncalves. You know that story about the dad who went out to buy cigarettes and never came back? So it happened to me, but it wasn't my dad, it was my grandpa. I remember it like it was today. I was about 7 years old and I saw when he left to buy some things at the grocery store here in the neighborhood. It was about 2 blocks from our house, but what usually took about 20 minutes ended up taking longer than that. At first, I thought he had run into a friend or someone he knew out on the street, right? And that they stayed there talking, catching up, or maybe went to take care of something at the bank. You know how it is, right? Those huge lines take up a lot of a person's time. But after a whole day, he still didn't come back. My mom and my dad went to look for him and couldn't find him. They went all over the city and there was no sign of the old man. He didn't use a phone, so they told the police about his disappearance. The years went by and the pain kept growing. 10 years went by, man. It was an ordinary morning, sunny like any other. My grandfather's absence had already become part of the family's routine, a wound that time couldn't completely heal. But that day, something happened that shook everything we knew. The sound of shuffling footsteps echoed along the sidewalk in front of our house. When I opened the door, I almost dropped my bread. There he was, my grandfather wearing the same clothes, a gray shirt with coffee stains from the same day he disappeared. There wasn't a single extra wrinkle on his face. For him it was as if time had stopped, but for us a decade had already passed. He stopped on the stairs frowning, and when he looked at me his eyes showed suspicion. "Excuse me, young man, does this house still belong to Jorge?" he asked, referring to my father. My breath caught. "Grandpa, it's Mateus." "What kind of joke is this? Mateus is just a boy." "He's about 7 years old." Hearing that was overwhelmingly painful. The memories of a child waiting for a grandfather who never came back mixed with the shock of seeing him there, unchanged, as if time really hadn't passed. "Grandpa, it's me. I'm grown up now. You've been gone for a decade." He took a step back, looking at me as if I were a stranger. 10 years? That can't be. "I just went to the grocery store. How long was I gone? 10 minutes? You must have confused me with someone else and I got the wrong house. That must be it." I ran to my parents and told them who was coming back home again after 10 years. My parents couldn't believe what they were seeing. They stood still and pale. When my grandfather saw the two of them, his expression changed to a mix of relief and confusion. "Jorge, Helena, but what happened to you? You look older." He widened his eyes, starting to realize that something was wrong. "We took my grandpa to the kitchen to have a sip of really cold water, right?" Trying to explain what had happened, but he insisted that we had gone crazy. He described in detail how he left the house that morning, went to the grocery store, bought a few things, and came straight back home. For him, the day was just the same. When we mentioned the name of Mr. Nesta, the owner of the grocery store he went to, he was surprised to learn that the man had died 7 years ago. "That's impossible. I just spoke to him. He even gave me a discount on the sardines." Meanwhile, we observed every detail. He didn't seem to have aged a single day. His clothes were just like before, with no sign of wear, as if he had really just left the house. But the lingering question was, what happened during those 10 years? Where was he? The doctors couldn't explain what happened to him. There were no signs of significant aging or diseases. It was as if he had been frozen in time. Even so, something seemed strange. During conversations, he mentioned places and people that no one knew, as if part of his memory belonged somewhere else, another reality. The climax happened the following night. I was in my room looking through old photo albums when I heard a sound coming from the hallway. I opened my door and went out. There was my grandfather, standing in front of a mirror, staring at his reflection. "I don't understand, Mateus." "It feels like I don't belong in this place." "Grandma, what's happening? What do you remember?" "I just remember arriving at the grocery store, buying some things, and then there was a bright flash in my eyes. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and I was back here." "I don't know what could have happened, but if everything you told me is true, then maybe this isn't really me, is it?" I don't know what could have happened, but after 3 weeks, my grandfather passed away. It was a shock for the whole family. It was as if he had left again. After 10 years, we were able to see him again. We were in pure joy, and now this, another blow to our family. I remember that at the wake, he looked much older than he actually was. I believe he went through some kind of portal or something like that and got stuck in this temporal vacuum. And when he came back here, all those years that hadn't shown on his body surfaced and made him age rapidly. Bro, I just released number 2 of Cartoon Cat vs. Siren Head. That fight is still going on, my friends, and we have many other titles over at Leo's store on Zap. Add that number, bro, and I'll send you the available list of all of Leo's comics, alright? Merry Christmas to you all and a Happy New Year. We're in this together.